What's up, my delvers and DMs? Are you ready? Because I'm getting ready. Oh, yeah. In about 24 hours or less, this project's going to be live. Ooh. Oh, gotta calm down. Okay. So, right here, this is just the pre-launch show. Oh, we got somebody in the chat. Oh, it's nobody important. Anyways, it's just that one chick who runs the show. We don't like to talk to her. Anyways, we got this pre-launch show, and we're gonna show you what it's all about. You know why? I know you know why. Because Backer Kid's gonna launch tomorrow. I already said it. Why aren't you listening? Anyways, if you haven't been watching, every Thursday has been Trap Thursday. We've been talking about these traps for a while now. Anticipation's boiling. It's bubbling up. It's almost about to boil over and spill out into the world. And we're here to talk about it. Okay, and show it off. Now, without further ado, oh, you are important. Who's that? It's hard to see. Yeah. You are very important. And Grimtooth's looking out for you. Okay. You're the last one I'm gonna kill. All right, so let's go. 1, 2, 3. Bring on my guests today. We got Joe Goodman, and we got, is it just Joe right now? No. Oh, we got all three. All right, we got Joe, we got Mike, and we got Chris here. Say hello, boys.
Hello, boys.
Hello, boys.
Excellent. Hey, I'm glad you guys finally made it. When Joe approached me about this book, I was like, well, who is this nerd? Do I need to stuff this guy in his locker or what? But he convinced me to put out a book again. It's been a little while, and I said, well, why not? I got my coffers are drying up, and the blood ain't flowing like it used to, and I want to hear the squeals of 5e players, especially. So here we are.
Thanks for having us on your show, Grimtooth. It's an honor to be here. Thanks for letting me out of that locker.
Yeah. Well, I had to eventually. I was getting tired of the screaming.
Yeah. I went through 8 henchmen just to get here.
Oh, excellent. Good. We're going to ground up those guys and feed Grimcat later. All right. He loves fresh henchman mince meat.
I'm just glad somebody else is in a locker for a change.
Having high school flashbacks.
You'll get back to yours eventually, okay?
All right. Well, we're here today to talk about Grimtooth's crowdfunding, or Grimtooth's Ols-School Traps, which is coming to crowdfunding tomorrow. Tomorrow, Tuesday, Halloween, which seemed perfect for you, Grimtooth. The Halloween launch seemed just so bloody and appropriate, you know?
Oh, yeah, totally. I hate I hate the full moon's already passed. Otherwise, I think it might have brought the end of the world. So it's probably a good thing, honestly.
Okay. So 9 a.m. tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 Eastern. And actually, before we dive in, I want to answer a question in the chat that has actually come up quite a bit. Horatio Drank said, if I have Grimtooth's Ultimate Traps collection, is there anything new for me in this project? And the answer is yes, quite a bit. So some of you know, I think it was like 10 years ago, we did a compilation of all of your fabulous traps, Grimtooth. But we did them as you had published them originally in the 1980s, which was without stats. And so, I mean, they're useful, but they could be more useful with game stats, right? I feel like.
Exactly. Yeah. This time, you don't even have to work as hard anymore. You just drop them right in to whatever dungeon you're creating.
Exactly. So this time it's about 150 traps, and they all have stats. Either you buy the DCC version or the 5e version, and they're ready to drop in, ready to go. A little bit easier to use. Same great traps, Grimtooth. We didn't in any way water down your brilliance. Just as much player fatality. Still have the skull system.
Well, yeah.
All the classics are there.
Nothing but 5 skulls, people. Don't even bother with the 1 skulls. All right. We need the blood.
Exactly. So right now we can start out today maybe by talking about nice. Was that a chalice? I thought you had a chalice there.
It does, man. I got some fresh berry juice in here. The same stuff I'm lubricating that I was talking about in that one thing. I also drink it. It keeps me the bowels moving.
You got to stay hydrated for making all those traps.
Do a lot of screaming too. I don't know if you've noticed.
Do you do like voice exercises to keep your keep your larynx in shape and your
Yeah, well, I just kind of like pull on them a little. That seems to do the trick.
Yeah, good. All right, good. So actually we got great questions coming in the chat. Let's start by just talking about the book. Yeah. So the book has about 150 traps that are pulled from, and Mike and Chris, I'll turn over to you guys in a sec, but pulled from the original. So there were like 5 Grimtooth books originally. We pulled from the first 2, as I recall, picked 150, our top 150 favorites out of hundreds and hundreds to choose from. Maybe Chris, do you want to jump in and just tell us what's in the core of Grimtooth Old-School Traps book?
So yeah, I mean, you're getting room traps, you're getting item traps, you're getting corridor traps, and of course, sprinkled in there's pit traps and all those and everything. And like I said, for the first time ever, really, because these books were originally that they used to call system neutral, which any game master with their own with some cachet can totally stat them up, but we did all the work for you. Our design teams actually went in and actually created both 5e and DCC stats. You pick which book that you want, or if you're a really huge fan, you get one of each book, because why not? And then literally you can open the book up and run it on the spot, and no problem. And we did, unfortunately, Grimtooth, we did keep the 1 skull traps in there and the 2 skull traps in there, but what we did do is on the 5e side, we actually did this little thing at the end called adjusting the threat. So we could actually make those 1 skull traps actually into 3 or 4 skull traps. So basically, you have the basic trap, but then, I don't know, add an iron golem at the end, or some flames or something, or more poison, or more deadly poison. So we did that to kind of make the traps even, I won't say even better, because you did a great job of making the traps in the first place, but even more useful at the game table.
Well, I'll let it slide.
I'm sure there's sliding traps in there too.
Now, Chris, I have this list in front of me that we made, and I think these numbers might have changed a little bit as we went through it, but I believe we said we had 33 room traps in here, 55 corridor traps, 10 door traps, 24 item traps, 21 dungeon dressing traps, and then several more that we basically couldn't categorize because they were so wild and out there, for about 150 or a little over 150 total, as I recall.
Yeah, we're at 150 traps. If you back within the first 72 hours, you'll get a bonus trap, so that'll be 151. And then, of course, if we unlock stretch goals, we will be adding more traps to the book as well.
That's right. You're gonna hit those stretch goals. My blood is just pumping thinking about it. Boy.
So Grimtooth, you got the energy to make even more traps? Because I mean, that's what's going to have to happen here. You're going to have to make more traps for us.
Do I have the energy? Do I? Listen, pal. Okay, I got so much energy. All right, I got barrels of protein powder. All right, mixed up, ready to go. I'm just scarfing it down, and I'm in the zone. You don't have to worry about it.
Where do you get the protein powder? You grind up the bones of the adventurers who died?
Oh, yeah. You got to sprinkle in a little more than that. Some unicorn tears, a dash of moonbeams, little things like that.
It's a cycler thing. The protein power barrels are used to crush adventurers, and the adventurers are then further pulverized to make the protein powder, which Grimtooth eats, so he has the energy to fill up the protein to reset the protein powder trap.
It's symbiotic.
Circle of life.
It's the circle of life, man. I hear Elton John in the background.
Isn't he in a locker still? I feel like we just came up with a stretch goal trap.
Yeah.
the circle of life, protein barrel, something or other.
Somebody write that down.
Yeah.
It's all here. I don't write nothing down.
Do you know how to write, Grimtooth?
Do I know how to write? Yeah, of course. I went to Grim School. Right? We talked about that. Obviously, somebody has been watching my shows. But me and James, we went to college together. We talked about that in the show. Okay, go back to episode 2. You'll see it.
I'll catch the rerun. I must have missed it. All right. So we got some great questions in the chat here. Let me scroll up a little bit. Somebody asked, And Mike, I guess this one's for you. How did the trap mechanics work in DCC, and how can I steal them to insert into Game X?
I really don't know how to answer the question because it's how we use traps. I mean, there's a trap. If you don't find it, it does something horrible to you, and if you do find it, you either avoid it or figure out a way to do, to disarm it. So we provide, of course, how much damage the trap is going to do if it does go off in your face. What other side effects it might have, like turn you to stone or turn you into jelly or bone powder or something like that. And and of course the damage is based on what the skull system is. So a 5 skull trap is most likely going to kill you. Might be a save or die, or a 1 skull trap will most likely kill a 0 level funnel, like perfect for a 0 level peasant to be take out a gong farmer. But a warrior might still be able to survive it, but a first level wizard might not. That kind of situation.
I'd say for a 5 skull trap, I don't know if this is in the book. Maybe it's time for a little rewrite, a little typo in there, but. No, don't roll over the body. Okay, you get killed by a 5 skull, you don't get to roll it over.
Well, that's assuming there's a body left.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. So I mean, there's we've broken it down to what the trap does. As I said, what it does if you don't disarm it. We have DCs for like trying to figure out the trap there. Or, it's just, if somebody's searching there, they have to make a check, or for some things there might be kind of a giveaway. It's like, hey, you know what? That floor looks awfully like paper mache. If you take a look at it, So yeah, so it's so there's it's applicable to any DCC game. Basically anything that uses a DC you make a roll with. So I mean, it's
Actually, Mike, maybe because I don't know what game this poster was playing, but in broad terms, there's a difficulty class and there's saving throws and ability checks, and that's kind of the core mechanic. In case that helps for how you might adapt it to other systems. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Easy peasy.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep.
Easy peasy. There you go.
Yeah.
And then there's another question here. How is the difference in difficulty of detection versus disarming handled? It doesn't specify system, but
that's probably 5e. In 5e, there's actually different DCs for both of those. And yeah, so we specify that we're going to give you a rundown of all the DCs for every trap. And there is a separate one for noticing the trap. And then if you notice the trap, there's a disarming part of it. And, generally you're going to need thieves' tools. But just like Mike said, there might be some little hints there on, if you notice this part, or if you're distracted by this, you're not going to notice the other part of the trap. So when you see the big spike wall coming at you, you might be missing the other spike wall coming from the other side. And those are all handled in the rules. It's all spelled out. Obviously the DCC side it's a little bit more rules crunchy than the DCC side. So yeah, you're going to get all that sets in there, and plus you're going to get some sidebars and some other things to talk about making the traps your own. And just to carry on the point earlier from Mike was saying, yeah, I mean, I'm sure if you're a competent dungeon master, you'll be able to figure out the saving throws and the DCs and import that to your own game without a problem.
If you got a 5th grade reading level, you'll be good to go with these books, I think. Okay, just the big words are not there. Okay, 3 syllables max.
Pit, trap, spear. It's usually kind of 1 syllable kind of stuff.
Yeah. You guys got that. I believe in you. Okay, audience.
Yeah. On the 5e side, it's slashing, piercing, bludgeoning. Or all 3.
Bludgeoning. Only 3. Yeah. We can do that.
All 3.
It's Grimtooth, so there's a few in there. There are things like nitroglycerin.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, bring out your chemistry book. Still 3rd grade. I knew how to make nitroglycerin in 3rd grade.
In Grim School, that's what they taught you?
Yeah. Grim School. Trap College is where, it got real advanced calculus.
Yeah. All right, cool. So that's the core book. And then I think there's some really exciting add-ons here. One of them is going to be DCC number 106. Mike, and this is a funnel, a trap space funnel. Mike, can you tell everybody what we're planning for this exciting trap space funnel?
Yep, it's called Trials of the Trapmaster Tomb. It's written by Terry Olson. In fact, actually, I just got an email from him, and they're going to start playtesting it right now. So, but generally, it's as Joe said, it's going to be a 0 level funnel. It is a unsurprisingly, an entire trap-centric funnel. So the basic thing is that there was a necromancer and engineer who in his lifetime built all sorts of devious traps. I don't know if they're as devious as Grimtooth, but but he
He
had
sounds like a protege of mine.
well, he had the advantage of being a necromancer, so it was a lot easier for him to test them. So he would just just throw undead in there, and then so he did really good traps, really complex ones and such, and really simple ones, and he made a lot of money, because what kind of potentate doesn't want to have like the best trap defending his treasury? But then when the trap master died, he's like, well, obviously I don't want somebody to take all my money, so I'm going to devise the most devious trap that I'm going to bury myself in. And once a year, the door opens up in the side of the mountain, or wherever the totem is, and all the locals are like, "Well, I can either go to be a gong farmer, or I can try to run the gauntlet and come back with as much loot as I can carry." So, welcome to running the gauntlet of the Trials of the Trapmaster's Tomb. And you might come out. It's a DCC funnel, so you might come out an adventurer, or you might not come out at all. So. That's the thrust of that one. DCC
Man, it sounds like a good one. Can't wait to get my hands on it.
Grimtooth, what do you do with all the bodies of the people who fall into your traps? Do you feed them to your pets, or do you revive them as undead, or what's your standard operating protocol?
Some of them go to Grim. Well, we got a whole sorting. There's a whole level, like level 26, and that we put them on conveyor belt. They get sorted by how smashed they are and pulverized and all that sort of stuff. And then they go around. Some go for Grimcat and my other pets to eat. Some of them I'll use the bones, for my own protein powder. And a lot of time I'll just I'll boil them up, and make a nice mead. Honestly, I don't want anything to go to waste. It's very economical, good for the environment. And a lot of people when they die, the bowels just go out there. So that all goes to my garden to help the clan. And
right.
I don't know how much detail you really want here.
I think I got enough detail.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right, good to know. Good to know. Thank you, Mike. The funnel sounds awesome. People love funnels. It's like half the reason they play DCC, it seems like. And I don't think we've done one before that's like traps focused like that.
Yeah, I mean they're Terry's still working on it, but I'm pretty sure that they're.
It was that grinder cube thing, the hyper cube.
That's right, actually, hyper cube of might from back. That was like a long time ago, 9 or 10 years ago, I want to say. Yeah.
So so it's trap centric, but there will be stuff to fight. I'm sure there will be magic to decipher and all the usual good stuff. But obviously, if you should be bringing a 10-foot pole.
Maybe that 12-foot.
I expect a whole lot of livestock to die in the trials of Trapmaster. People just throwing their chickens into rooms to see if it's safe or not. So.
All right, and then we also have another add-on for this project, which is another trap specific adventure. Chris, do you want to tell them about that? And this one's going to be for both DCC and 5e.
Yeah, sure. So we are actually this is going to be more of a classic adventure, so this will not be a funnel. But this is actually being written by Alex Karofsky from 20 Sides Every Story, and I've just been emailing back and forth. He's already working away on it. He is going to be doing a live play test of the beginning of the module, and I believe he said he is writing it for DCC first, and then he's going to convert it to 5e. So he's actually going to be handling both versions of the module, which is awesome. And I believe on a Friday, I think it's going to be Friday the 17th, but we'll have it all situated on the campaign page, exactly the date and the time. We'll make sure that you're aware of it. So he'll actually be running through the beginning of the adventure. And this one is basically assault on the Thief Lord's vault, kind of a riff. But basically you've got two thieves that are rivals in the same guild. And one of them took their rivalry to the next step and created a trap-filled dungeon to kind of lure the other thief in and defeat that thief, and succeeded. But the dungeon is still there, and the traps are mostly reset. And there's something that's in that vault that the PCs need to get. So they actually discover the the hidden fortress, if you will, that's full of traps. And I've already seen the list. Same thing. It's already being worked on. Playtests are going to be happening if they're not already happening right now. Alex sent me a list of 13. That's a very lucky number from Grimtooth's standpoint of traps that he is planning on pulling out of the book. And he's doing something good. In the beginning, the first level of the dungeon, it's going to be the traps are going to be more to kind of humiliate you and kind of get you kind of like thinking, oh, this isn't so bad. And then, but as you get deeper into the dungeon and closer to the vault, the lethality is going to increase. And he has an amazing, I'm not going to spoil it, but the boss monster at the end is amazing. That when we were going back and forth and he was pitching the thing, we literally came up with on the spot. And we both love the idea, and it's going to be an amazing and that one thief that created the dungeon might still be there too somewhere. So we're really excited about this. This is going to be a great adventure. That it's going to be good. It's probably going to be for like mid-level characters, probably like for 5e it's going to be 4th or 6th level, which is going to be for like 2nd or 3rd level DCC characters. So there you have it.
It sounds like you found a place or Alex found a place to use those one skull traps early on and then build up to the bigger skull levels higher. Yeah.
I do like the traps that humiliate, that really make you question whether or not you're a true adventurer. You're really cut out for this work, probably go home and cry to your mama afterwards, Those are the ones that give you mental trauma. As I told Chris the other time, I want them to have survivor's guilt,
Yes.
All my friends died, and then cry themselves to sleep at night.
That reminds me of Mike. What is that Fritz Liber story where they raid the Thieves Guild?
That's the Ilmet and Lankmar.
Yeah. Sort of reminds me of that. I mean, it's kind of traps focused in the early part of that story, as I recall. It's been a while since I read it, but it's a good one. All right, cool. So that's the 3 basic pledge items, everybody. The old school traps hardcover, which will be in 5e and DCC. Then are you counting? Then the traps funnel, Trials of the Trap Master's Tomb, which is DCC number 106. And then the other traps-based adventure that will be available in either 5e or DCC. Did I get it? 3? Are we on the same page?
3. Okay. Unless you want to get both books, then it's technically 4. DCC.
Well, technically, but it'd be 5 because the adventure is in the. Yeah. Sorry, man. This is why there's no more than 5 skulls. All right. So just don't put me back in the locker. So sorry, this is a question in the chat. Will there be rules for fostering mutually beneficial friendships and a long life? No. You're looking at the wrong product if you're trying to get that. So we're going to preview the actual pledge page in just a sec. One thing to let everybody know, this is our first project that we've run on BackerKit crowdfunding. So it's not actually going to run on Kickstarter. It's going to run on BackerKit, which I'm sure you all know it has pledge manager software, and they've now been running actual crowdfunding for, I don't know, many months now. And a lot of other publishers have been using their crowdfunding too, and it's super cool. It has all sorts of functionality. If you're actually on there right now, you can watch this live stream on our Twitch channel or through the BackerKit page for this project as well. So they have a lot of really interesting functionality that'll let us, I think, connect to the audience a little better. So look for it on the BackerKit crowdfunding platform. Again, as I think Chris reminded us, if you pledge in the first couple of days, first 72 hours, you get a bonus trap. And then we also want to encourage everybody to come over from the, if you've done Kickstarter before, come over and try out this new platform. So we're actually giving a special deal. If you've pledged for any Goodman Games Kickstarter ever, for the 7, 8, 9 years we've been doing Kickstarters, you'll get a special price. You get $10 off the print edition or $5 off the PDF edition. And the way that I know this. Sorry, man. Go talk to your accountant if he's still alive. And
he will be after this meeting, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And that'll actually come out. You won't see the discount up front, but you'll see it on the back end in the pledge manager stage is where they apply that. So there's lots of good reasons to try this out and give it a shot. So I was thinking, Grimtooth, with your permission, perhaps we should now preview the page. Does that sound like a good idea?
Well, I guess so. All
right. So everybody, let me actually make sure I'm catching up here so I can see what you guys are seeing. And Elena, are you at the, I can't actually see it yet because of the lag. There we go. Great. You know what? It's not actually showing the full preview page. It's just showing the landing page.
No.
Elena, can you give us a BRB?
Now listen here. They don't call it the infamous wheel trap for nothing, do they? No, sir. You don't want to be in that room when the Iron Curtain comes slamming down on ya, and then you're stuck there between crushing wheels and barrels full of acid. Listen here, pal. You ain't coming out of that alive, and if you are, you're gonna be a mess.
We're back.
We had ourselves a little technical difficulty, but it's okay because I took care of them. All right, now we got somebody else. We got another goblin up on the back end. All right, so we're gonna go to that preview page that this nerd here was talking about, and we're gonna find out exactly what it looks like. And you know what? It's pretty good. It's pretty good. They do a good job over there, Backy Kid. You know, I think I might be going there from now on. For all my back-end needs, which isn't a lot, but you never know. Okay, so acid will mess up the best of those. Yes, it will. Whoever said that.
So, Elena, if you can scroll down just a little bit on what we see on the screen. Everybody, you're seeing right now a preview of it. So a few things we're tweaking in the last couple of minutes, and we'll have the final project video and everything. But if you scroll down, you'll see, there you go, the greatest traps resource of all kind. We're going to talk you through what's on the page, how you can pledge for it. I mean, you already heard a little bit about the project, but the greatest traps resource of all time. I'm sure you guys know the history of it. Grimtooth has been around for many millennia, but more specifically since the early 1980s when his first book was published. And so there's a lot of material to pull from. We have in this book 33 room taps, all fully statted out. You buy either the DCC edition or the 5e edition. The corridor traps, the door traps, the item traps, the dungeon dressing traps, and all the other stuff. And you'll see there an illustration of Grimtooth, which doesn't look nearly as handsome as the real thing. Don't you guys agree?
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see Grimtooth himself featured on our page and a little rundown of what the pledge items are.
Looking
who is
good.
that fellow? Yeah. A Renaissance troll, as they said in the chat. And the main pledge items, you got the Ols-School Traps book in DCC or 5e. 5e has the blue cover, DCC has the kind of burgundy red cover. You got the Against the Thieves Guild adventure, again in DCC or 5e, and then Traps, the Trials of the Trapmaster's Tomb, the DCC funnel. Each of those is available in PDF.
Fast, okay?
I know. I don't want to write it on the chalkboard. Don't make me do it. If you scroll down a little bit more, Grimtooth has done many fine advertisements, almost really just documentaries about his traps process, which are available on YouTube. So you can watch these fine, entertaining documentaries with the links on the preview page here. Then if you scroll down a little further, you get to some examples of the traps. And actually, we'll come back in a sec, and Chris and Michael will walk you through this, but the Magnificent Marble Misadventure, the Tripwire that isn't, the Double Door Trap, these are some of the classics down there. And we'll come back and tell you more about those. And then we got the stretch goals. So, and we actually have a fabulous list of stretch goals. So by the time we go live tomorrow, this will be updated. But the stretch goals are basically, more or less every 30K, we're going to throw in another trap. So by the time we're done, it might be 160 or even more traps if things go well. And there's a lot of really cool options there. So now, Elena, if you can go to the menus along the top, and instead of clicking on story up there, click on pledge levels. Let's talk through what the different pledge levels are. And if you, and I'm talking to the serious ghost that runs our show. Elena, if you go to the very top underneath the main header, it'll say there's like a row: story, pledge levels, add-ons, etc. And while you're doing that, I see Chris is back on the screen. Chris, can you tell us about? There's a couple traps that we talk about on the main page. The Magnificent Marble Misadventure.
Do you want to hear about that one?
Of course, I want to hear about that one. It's a classic.
Right.
Maybe Grimtooth will have his own thoughts on that one too. But
So
I'm
well,
listening.
So this one's pretty cool. So you've got your typical corridor, and there's a couple of curtains hanging down, and then there's a pit in between the curtains. As soon as you touch one of the curtains, and it actually doesn't matter which way the corridor you're coming down, a door will fall down from the ceiling, so a ramp basically, and it'll block the corridor, and then literally thousands upon thousands of oil-covered marbles will roll onto the corridor. And obviously, it'll be very difficult for you to maintain your footing when that happens. And keep in mind, you have an open pit right there. So when you're distracted by that, behind you on the other side of the pit, oh yeah, there's a great picture of it. Behind you more marbles spill out by that curtain. So you might think, well, I'll just jump over to the safe side of the pit, not realizing that there's oil-covered marbles now over there, because you're kind of focusing on the front. So there's a good chance you're ending up in the pit one way or the other. And as I mentioned, those are oiled covered marbles. So one of the ways that we adjusted the threat of this trap is, you just add a little flamethrower in there. And now you've got, flambe marbles, which, not only are they slippery, but now they're going to burn you. So you've got burning, falling into pit, all kinds of cool stuff going on in that trap.
Sounds like a delicacy to me.
Sounds like a good time, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I jump in the pits just because I got regenerative abilities, right? So,
Yeah.
that is a good time in my book, but most people don't feel the same way.
And that's the funny part about this. If you're ever facing a Grimtooth trap, sometimes it is safer in the pit.
That's actually a great point. So that's a complicated simming trap. Is that just for example of the players or the viewers? Is that a 1 skull or a 2 skull or a 5 skull?
That is a
relative
3-skull trap. So
it's a 3-skull trap. Okay, so they get even more complex and dangerous than that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's actually, this one's kind of tame. This one's just basically just trying to get you into the pit. So
okay. All right. So then another one we talk about on the project page is the tripwire that isn't. Chris, you want to tell us? And actually, in Grimtooth, I think you actually did a recording on that one too. But you guys want to tell us a little bit about that one?
So this is really cool. You guys are definitely going to want to come back to the campaign page on this, because we actually have a special guest YouTuber actually did a wonderful breakdown on this trap using miniatures and actually explaining all of the parts of the trap and everything. So it can do a much better job than I'm going to do here in 30 seconds. But so this is, you come down a corridor and you see a tripwire, very obvious tripwire. It is, there's no roll to check it. So obviously you're going to be like, well, there's the trap. A good game master will make you roll anyway and make you think that you made the roll to see the tripwire. But the deal is, the tripwire is not really the trap. The trap is after the tripwire. There is a pivoting floor. So the thought is, if you jump over the tripwire, you're going to jump right into the pit, basically. And it's imagine it's a circular, the floor is basically on a central pivot. There's probably physics involved in this, and it's just going to spin around and spin around and spin around. So if you jump over the tripwire, you automatically will fall in the pit. If you carefully step over it, you get a dex save to try and prevent falling into the pit. As we mentioned, there's like oil of slipperiness on the pivot point, so that thing's just going to keep spinning and it's going to spin for days, really. So you're going to have to deal with that, because now you're down in the bottom of the pit probably, or if you're even not in the bottom of the pit, you still have to deal with it. And if you really, really want to be nasty on this trap, is you can actually have it lock after it does one full rotation, locking you in the pit, and then you just add your favorite creatures down at the bottom of the pit, whatever flavor that might be. You just put some fun stuff down in there. And the cherry on top for this one is, if you actually disarm, if you actually cut the tripwire or disarm the tripwire when you first find it, instead of just stepping over it and succeed, you'll actually lock the door, and then you can walk across the corridor normally. So even Grimtooth has a little bit of a heart there, and says, well, maybe if you're kind of smart, maybe you can figure a way around it. But most likely, I've done this before a lot of times where I put an obvious something and, had people jump, and almost always they jump right over it. There was one adventure where I put 3 pits in a row, and they kept jumping, and they'd climb out of the one pit and then jump right back into the next pit. And it's like, after a while, you take pity on them, because aren't adventures pretty stupid, Grimtooth? I mean,
they're the biggest dummies I've ever seen. I mean, come on.
Why they're adventurers? Otherwise, they'd have a respectable.
You could have had a simple life, farming or doing whatever in the town. But no, you want to go out and be greedy, and this is what you get. Okay.
It's like a group of marketers. I'm
trying to teach people lessons here. You know what I would put at the bottom of that? I would put like tax collectors at the bottom of the pit. They're gonna tax you every time you fall in.
That's
And you know,
truly
they're
horrifying.
demonic tax collectors.
That's truly horrifying.
Truly horrifying. All right. And then I think, Chris, there's one more that we talk about on the project. I mean, keep in mind, folks, there's 150 traps. We just pulled out a couple to talk about because they're fun, and we'll talk about more as the
We
project
can't
goes
talk
on.
about all 150. We'll be here all night.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Yeah.
but we got a couple minutes left. Maybe tell us about the double door trap, which was one of the other ones on there.
All right. So this is one where you're coming up to an ornately carved door, and it's in like a T intersection, and opposite the door is a spiked wall, and it's all bloody and all that, and dried blood and all that, because apparently Grimtooth doesn't clean up after he springs his traps. So you get to the door and you're like, okay, well, obviously the wall is going to slam into me if I do something wrong. That would be a mistake if you make that assumption, because actually what's going to happen is the door is a false door, and that wall behind it is a big coiled spring, and that is going to trigger, and it'll actually slam you into the spiked wall, and crush you and do damage. So it kind of tricks you. And again, if there's one thing that Grimtooth does, is he often will lead you in one direction, and you'll think, oh, I'm gonna out trick him on this. I see what's happening here. And then that's not what's happening here. And that's why you really have to be on your toes on all of these. And some of the ways that you can make it, like, you know, if you put like some sort of a golem behind that springing door, and then just have that golem keep pushing on that door, and just until your player characters are just ground to, you know, what is it, grim cat food, you know, that just adds to the lethality of the whole thing. So, and there is another door. Of course, the door is hidden behind the spring, and it's a secret door. So
I love
you know,
that.
behind the big giant spring and everything. Oh, there's
Oh, is that Grim Cat?
His
ready.
name. He's looking
Looking
for
hungry.
Dovers to eat. It's not time, not din time, my buddy. Okay.
Not yet.
Not
We
yet.
launch tomorrow. A big the can
have
opener
a
in the
feast
sky is gonna
tomorrow.
go off at noon. So
The cat over in the sky. All right. Well, this is going to be a fun project. We have, I guess, about 30 days of live project time and 150 traps to talk through. So maybe we cover a couple a day and just keep sharing the excitement. But I saw in the chat, a lot of people are really enjoying talking through the actual traps. And frankly, they're all creative and masterpieces of trap creation. Not to give you a big head, Grimtooth, but, you know, these are pretty darn good traps. They're pretty impressive.
I don't think my head can get much bigger, buddy. You see, I ain't wearing a hat. Can't get a hat to fit.
So everybody, on your screen is a QR code. If you take a minute and scan that with your phone, it'll take you to the landing page. You can follow the project, and that way you'll get the notification tomorrow when it goes live. And then also, let's see if I can. Elena, can you drop that link in the chat?
Too? Some people might be watching on the phone, and that's just a trap. You know, how can I scan with my phone when I'm holding my phone? I mean, that's the, you know. There it is.
Yeah, that like
Good
makes
job.
my brain hurt.
Good job, Goblin.
So you guys click that link in the chat. That'll give you a landing page to follow, and that way you can be one of the first ones to back it tomorrow. And the first people who back it, or those who back it in the first 72 hours, get the bonus trap. Grimtooth, do you have any thoughts on which one we should make the bonus trap out of your vast repertoire of ones that we have not yet statted up?
Hey, we already got that. We already got that.
Spoil the surprise? No.
I'm wondering if Grimtooth has any personal thoughts on, like, but you want to go with pits or spears, or you know, it's hard to pick just one. I know
it is. I'm partial to pits myself. I don't know what about it is. I just love pits, and the deeper the better. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So on that note, everybody follow the project. Try to be one of the first ones to back in the first 72 hours. It'll go live tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific / noon Eastern. And we're actually going to do a live stream when we go live, so you can watch us click the magic button on BackerKit and take the sucker live. And remember, it's going to be on BackerKit as opposed to Kickstarter. And there's going to be a lot of cool features like live streaming these things and so on.
You know what? I'm going to go start a Kickstarter one, and that's going to be a trap. And so people are just going to like back it, but you're going to come to my bank account. So if you go to Kickstarter, you better watch out. It's a trap.
Sounds like a plan. Any other closing words or anything we forgot to mention, everybody? Oh, wait, good chat question. Are there articles in the book? So there'll be a couple like sort of, or actually, Chris, do you want to answer this? A couple articles or essays in the book?
Yes, we are going to do some essays. We have a couple of them lined up from some of the original folks that worked on the books back in the 80s. And then also some of the, we'll call them friends of Goodman Games that remember the book or just have a fondness of traps. So we have a whole selection. So basically, if you're familiar with our other original Adventures Reincarnated books, you're getting the same treatment. You're getting the same quality book, the hardcover book. Yeah, I'm assuming there's going to be bookmarks in there and all kinds of good stuff. And then you're going to get those essays at the beginning, and then you're going to get those 150 plus whatever other traps that we add via stretch goals. And I would like that those stretch goal traps are going to be all brand new. They are not going to be like additional traps that are pulled from the Grimtooth books originally. Those will be all new design traps. So nobody anywhere else will have seen those stretch goal traps. So, or the bonus trap that you're getting.
Now that's exciting news.
That's a great
right
thought.
You know,
Yeah,
I hear you didn't include my poetry in these articles that I wrote.
Well, maybe if enough people ask for it during the campaign, that we'll have to include your poetry. We'll have to set a couple of pages aside for your poetry.
Okay, all right, maybe.
The $1 million stretch goal. Anything else would be an insult to you, Grimtooth. So,
yeah, we wouldn't want to insult you, Grimtooth. Maybe we should do another project next year and call it Grimtooth's Old-School Poetry. And we'll save your best work for that. So this remains just traps. You know, your lesser material. We'll save the good stuff for the poetry book.
If we delvers have offended, think but this, and all is mended, that you fell into my pit, and now you're dead, and I'm digging a ditch.
Okay, roses are red, violets are blue. I can't rhyme, and neither can you. Okay, all right. So, and I want to say hi to Brad, who just logged on in the chat. Hey, Brad, how's it going? I see Brendan there too. Hey, Brendan, how are you? And yeah, I think that's it, everybody. So
that Brandon guy's still alive? I killed him on my show.
Yet, man.
Oh, he must work a little harder. Roll over the body.
Yeah. All right. So thanks, everybody, and see you again tomorrow at 9 Pacific, noon Eastern, when we take this sucker live.
Cool.
We're out of here.
Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later.